Hey guys, yeah, I'm not feeling well. I've been
No
having
shit, Sherlock!
flu and fever for the past 2 days now. But despite that, I decided to try to record something. I know it's been a while. I've been really busy with my projects, and I have a MUET test, which is like an English test. If I could record, I'll practice tomorrow or the day after. Then yeah, you guys get to see how we do it. On the other hand, today will be a different topic, and me being back after such a long time, so let's get right into it. Now, ladies and gentlemen, common sense is something that common sense and common courtesy is something that every person should innately know. But coming here and staying here for like my college life, I found some people just don't know common sense, common courtesy, common decency, everything. The normal logical shit that we're supposed to know as human beings. Some of these people here don't really know it, and I'm gonna go through maybe about like 3 of them that I've come across. So let's begin, guys. Come on. The first one being common sense. I'm not gonna mention any names, but I know a guy whose roommate actually comes in through the window. Now, I don't know why, but I don't know if he has a key or not, but he comes in through the window, and it's alright if you don't want to interact with the rest of the room, but if you have to come in from the window, don't you think you knowing your door can't be closed? Don't you think you should at least go out through the front door, because that can be locked, and lock your window on the way out? Because if people would come in from your window, right, and steal everyone's shit, that would be under you. It was your fault because you left the door open, the window open at least. What I'm trying to say here is basically the common sense of knowing that someone else could do what you do and break into your apartment and steal your things. That is something that you should innately know. It's common sense. You should at least be courteous and like think about it, like be rational a little bit. Like, you have roommates, so if you're that selfish that you wouldn't mind your things getting stolen, that's up to you, but you can't be that selfish to ignore the fact that you got roommates, don't you think? Second, this has to be the most interesting conversation I've ever had with anyone here. Today, despite being sick, and it was a boring day actually, something interesting happened. A roommate's friend of mine barged into our room. Like, let's just say we live in an apartment, right? We have our own separate rooms. But then again, we share this apartment. Right, so this guy, he doesn't live in this apartment. He is a friend of my roommate's. So the funniest thing is, he comes in and he asks like, oh, is this guy around? So I pointed into the direction and he went. Now after he said what he had to say to the guy, and then on his way out, I told him, like verbatim, I told him, could you please knock the door the next time you enter? It's like common, you know, it's manners, right? It's good manners. You knock on the door and then you come in. Like, we would welcome you with open arms, and verbatim, that's what I said, and my roommates could vouch for me. I had 2 of my other roommates at the living room with me, and that's all I told him. I told him, could you please knock the door on your way in? And this guy got so defensive, and he decided to, he looked like he was gonna jump me, and he gave me this slight lecture that, oh, if I was going to go into your room, then I would have to knock the door because that's your room. You might be doing something inside. I'm like, true. In my head, I was like, true, you have a point. And then he said, but this is the living room. You don't own this space. In my head, that's what he said. His logic is, let me just give you guys a rundown on his logic. His logic is basically saying, if you were to go to someone else's house, you could access their living room because nobody owns the space, and steal and take whatever you want and do whatever you want, but you can't go into their personal rooms because that's their personal space. Now here's the funniest thing about it, he doesn't live here, right? And my roommates actually vouch for it. They're like, what he did was wrong, he's not in the right, I'm in the right, he's in the wrong.
Thanks, Captain
Because
Obvious.
common sense, right? Manners. You need to knock the door if you don't live there. If you live here with us, then it's alright, you can come in because it's your room as well. But this is not your apartment. So he gave me like a threat saying that he knows how I look like and all that. So if I don't record for like a year or 2, means I probably got jumped. Anyhow, to sum that point up is basically, you need to have common sense that it's manners that you have to knock the door before you enter, especially if you don't live in that space. So people here, if you do that, okay, ladies and gentlemen, if those of you who are living in a dormitory life and you're watching this video, I'd say that even if your friend stays in a room, if he's sharing a room with more than just himself, please knock the door. It's just manners, guys. I meant the guy, excuse me, I really have nothing against the guy. I'm not mad at him, I don't blame him, I don't anything. It's just that it's common sense. I'm just a little disappointed that he didn't understand that. Last but not least, ladies and gentlemen, right now we are in my room, right? So I share my room with this one dude, and he initially, for the first month or two, he didn't he stayed at his house, right? He didn't come to the room, so I had the room to myself. And given the opportunity, there's one time where he spent the weekend over here, and he said he enjoyed it. So I'm like, cool, about time to stay with us, right? The only thing is, he tends to be a little messy. Now, for those of my viewers who are actually staying with someone, in your dormitory life especially, it is not your family member. You are staying with friends or colleagues or whatever, right? You should have at least the decency to keep their things neat when you use them and ask permission. So this guy, he basically uses our bowls or utensils and all that, which we don't mind. We wouldn't mind if you used it. The problem is you have to ask. Ladies and gentlemen, please, if you want to use someone else's things that is not yours, it's common sense by the way, please ask. Another thing is, okay, this guy, by the way, if you guys think that I don't like this guy, he's my friend, alright? He's my friend, he's my roommate, my homie. I'm not mad at him. I'm just mad at what he does. So another thing that he tends to do is he tends to be a little messy. I don't mind if you're messy with your own things. The problem is, if, let's just say, he shares a room with me, this room. So if you are messy in this room, means you are messy with my space as well. We share this space. So if you're fucking messy, that means I'm fucking messy, and I don't really like that. I'm messy, but I have my standards. You get what I mean? So if you don't leave your clothes just like around, you like open like the locker, like, so if you guys, like, if he opens, I left the note reminding him to close the door after, and he does. So it's just a really good improvement. He tends to leave the locker door open and all that. It looks very messy. You get what I mean? It's disturbing. It's uncomfortable living in that kind of environment. You know, it's just I don't know. And another thing, he did this to another one of my roommate where he ate something on the table and he spilled something, or he left a cupcake of some sort, and there were ants crawling all over my friend's table, my roommate's table. So he did apologize, but come on, a little bit of common sense, man. If you're using someone else's table to eat, do them the favor in cleaning up after your shit. You get what I mean? It's ladies and gentlemen, all this is just common sense. Please bring yourself about better, because people tend to judge you in this world. So you don't want to get judged negatively, don't you think? And as my flu and fever does not allow me to continue that much longer, so ladies and gentlemen, after you watch this video, if you are living in a dormitory life, please have at least a few things. First off is common sense. Second of all is you must be rational, and you basically is decency. You know, have the decency to respect people's space. The third and the most important thing is manners. You must always have manners, especially when you're living with people that are not your family. With your family, I know some people didn't really grow up with that, but when you're living with people who are not your family, then reality kicks in sometimes, and you might not want it to kick in a bad way. My advice is, after you watch this video, try and at least practice a little bit of common sense, common decency, and also some manners. So thank you all for watching The Real Nils, and I hope my next video I'll be in better condition to record. So thank you all for watching. Peace.